Hey YouTube, it's James here from Alpha Antidote Ministries. Just a little heads up on where exactly I'm going as administrator for the underground ministry. I would like to give a little bit of my background and testimony and introduce a new, I don't know how many parts it might be, but a series on what all I have figured out about my own self, my identity, and how it correlates with the proper hermeneutics, interpretation of Scripture, and parallel to a psalm verse in chapter 139. I believe it's verse 14. But the Lord has created us with a specific nature about ourselves, which could be linked all the way back to Genesis chapter 3 and the fall of man. But that's a whole entire different study altogether concerning the scientific aspects, the neurological aspects, the explanation of how our only maximum capacity can be 10% of our brains, etc., etc., etc. So what I would personally like to get into a study of is how I learned my neurological processes of how I thought about things, and personally a little testimony of my discovery of the misdiagnosis at age 5 in kindergarten. Normally, I was diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. However, just recently, I have now come to the conclusion that was not the case. This is actually an autistic disorder on the spectrum. It used to not have even been on the spectrum. But as most of you in the media concerning watching The Big Bang Theory and the like, it is labeled as the diagnosis of Asperger syndrome. So, hence my whole studies of an expose really of what all I've went through and what all I've learned. So, just stay tuned. I'll keep you updated, and we can begin this learning process together. However, my first illustration, this is what I've just shown my mother and two other people on social media, not necessarily Facebook, but the blogging social media community, which it's mentioned in the link below. There's actually two of them, one for my personal testimony and two for God's glorification. Well, actually, God gets all the glory out of it, but to elaborate in detail, the sociologysuccess.wordpress.com, the Tav transition, is more informal. It's more personal for me on my personal journey through life. The Alpha Antidote, which is rhemarevelations.wordpress.com, is more for ministerial purposes. It is more for outreach. It is more for other people instead of me and how I learned personally in my own testimony. So here's illustration number 1. Not most people realize the exquisite detail of these manic episodes I might have exhibited in the past. So here's my first illustration. Bear with me, please. This is my first take on editing a video. So, all right. Let's see if I can flip the camera. Okay. So here I have this jar of, it's a container. But compare that to my neurological brain that is inside my skull and considering my emotions and how I have related to people over the course of time. So, once I first experienced people who have ostracized me and ridiculed me for the eccentric social behavior in the past, this jar is going to start filling up with stress. And over the course of time, here and there, when I have enough stress from different amounts of people over the course of, my whole life, eventually that stress is going to boil over in my neurological brain, and how I personally react to all of this stress that is simply an overload in my emotional relationships with other people, thus causing distrust from the past. So, over the course of time, when I, quote, forgive people like the Messiah has instructed us to in red letters, that forgiveness is only a little bit poured out. However, on the other person's behalf, this is still the scars that have healed from that forgiveness. Yet it is still associated with me and my past experiences. This is the main reason why I have so much been a, quote, condescending butt to other people, is mainly because of this past experience. So, in order for me to trust them again, it's like someone else told me the other day concerning their own perspective and how they associated me. I forgive you, James, but I cannot trust you no more than I can throw you, and that ain't very far. So, apparently what is happening here concerning Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12, regarding all humanity, there is one jar there over here, there's another jar over here. Yet, people are not concerning each other's jars. They are only so carnal in concerning their own emotional experiences, they never consider anybody else's. I will elaborate this in detail with this concerning the next study. However, in my own personal experiences, this is where I have the trust issue. With a normal person, you walk up to a complete stranger and basically you approach them for a normal scenario. Okay? Once you approach them, you're formal, of course, but as you relate with them, you become more informal. This is kind of the case with me. However, my approach with people is immediate distrust because of all of these past experiences that I've had with other people who have bullied me in school, kicked my desk, called me a weirdo, etc., etc., etc. Now I approach people with this full jar, half full jar, with even strangers, with automatic distrust. Not clean this stranger with a normal person. This stranger right here has a clean slate with me because I don't know who they are. However, with me and Asperger syndrome and my past experiences, I approach it not slightly, but majorly different way. Immediately when I approach a stranger, it's automatically distrust because of all the past experiences. So, concerning the former people, how do they make amends with me, and how do I view that they should make amends with me? The solution is not only me forgiving them, but them forgiving me simultaneously, which is a mutual understanding and enlightenment of saying, hey, I was wrong, James. Moreover, considering this teaching, technically I was wrong too. So once we both reach that mutual point of collaborative reciprocity, that whole jar is empty with the past, and we now both understand each other. Therefore, no, might be disagreements, but not any more manic episodes ever again. Well, which I don't have any now, praise Jesus, but it's just the whole social trust issue thing to elaborate on. So, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. This is only part 1 of the series. And parts 2 and 3 and possibly even more, I will begin to explain in detail on what all I have learned and how I should cope with other people, and even advice for you Aspies like me. So if you have any advice, any input, any details, please also realize for the skeptics regarding religion or whatever, your comments will be moderated, considering on how condescending you come. For me personally, what I've learned psychologically is I have more of an inquisitive mind. So what I've come to learn concerning other people as well, in all of this sociology study, even including epistemology, is how we are to relate with each other, but also whether your statement is justified. Moreover, which connotation it is in. Is it positive or is it negative? And are you reprobate-minded? Like, have you already made up your mind and you're distancing everybody else and not keeping an open mind? Or are you inquisitive about it and you want to learn more? So that's pretty much the difference between an argument and a simple debate. With an argument, nobody is ever going to win. With a debate, both people are open-minded. So, yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at right now, how all the underground ministry is developing here with the staff that is being constructed here. So, there you go. Praying for y'all. Peace.